Like, that was the most pressure I think I had in my, like, not racing career, maybe racing career.
Let's go!
Have a penalty?
Qualifying is all about getting one good lap in and warming your tires aggressively. In this case, qualifying was about running into traffic. We had a pretty big turnout for this league race. There were a lot of drivers in this session, so I had to let by quite a few karts to get a clean lap in. Now, this is a very important part of your race, because this is where the race starts. Use this time to study the track surface, get used to how your kart handles, and then just pray you get a good one in the race, as well as scout out where you're going to be sent off the road in lap 1. Now, I actually liked this kart quite a bit. It didn't feel too fast, but it cornered pretty well. Now, the goal is to go fast. But how go fast? So let's go for a lap then. This is exiting the last corner, getting onto the main straight. These karts do not accelerate that quickly, so the corners is where most of the time will be found. I brake just as I see the curb on the right hand here, turn in, off the throttle, get back on as soon as I'm onto these curbs, and let the power get me out to the outside here. Move over to the left. If the kart lets me, I'm gonna go full throttle through these corners, eat a lot of curb on the left as much as you can. Now moving back over to open up this corner. I brake a little earlier than most, but keep a tighter line, which allows me to gain some speed getting into this last section. Now for that last corner, I actually lift a tiny bit with this kart. Some might be able to handle it. If I kept my throttle down on this kart, I would have understeered and actually lost a little bit of time. Fast forward one lap and I'd caught up to the guys ahead of me and could no longer set any fast laps due to the traffic. If you find yourself in this kind of position, just slow down, let them by, get some clean track, and then go right back into setting your fastest lap. Pre-final sprint race. Position qualifying. Quali 2? Now this is where qualifying ended, and I was 8th in my heat, and I thought I had a decently respectable time in the 39.5s, but with there being 2 heats, once they actually brought together the times from both heats, I ended up in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th. Moving on, starting with the pre-race, currently P16 on the outside. Green flag goes, I actually end up making up a couple spots and brilliantly squeeze into the inside. The outside is the worst place to be. You'll get pushed wide just like so many karts did, as I get pushed right now, but I end up holding on to my position and actually trying to make up some more ground as a lot of these karts ahead start fighting. Now, I give these guys some room because I don't want unnecessary contact right now. I've made up some positions, I don't want to lose it by being too aggressive too early. So I wait until the right moment, take the racing line into the last corner, and actually end up in a better position than where I started. Now this is where I thought I had a good kart, but not good enough, as I look to the left and I see 2 karts barreling down as number 12 looks towards me, misses his braking point, and goes veering off into the tire barrier and ending his race in just 1 lap. So now with lap 1 out of the way, hold on, where did the tires go? Alright, getting back onto the racing line and focusing on the gap the guys ahead have built up. As we get to the straight and kart 25 taps his helmet, which basically means, hey, let's work together. I give you the draft, you bumped me, we catch up. Now, I decided against doing this because I was catching him so quickly in the corners. I thought that he would only slow me down. So I back off just a little bit in these last 2 corners to give myself as good of a run up out of the last corner as I can to carry as much speed as possible. But even with a great exit, I couldn't make a move until we got all the way down to turn 1. I move to the inside and send it deep down into turn 1, but this compromises my entry, giving him the speed on the exit of the corner. So now we're side by side racing. Now we leave each other room, we're both courteous. However, this means that we're both just slower and not catching the guys ahead, so very smart move by me. He lets me have this corner, so I can focus once again on making up time to the pack in front, just hoping that they are also fighting, meaning they are going slower. However, there wasn't any fighting, so in the next few laps, I could deploy until... why do I hear boss music? I didn't see it coming. A beautiful dive set up the corner before, and now I'm back fighting for position. Now, this was the part where I thought I would fight back, but I just could not keep up. And before I knew it, it happened again.
No, God, please, no!
Now, I noticed he was in Kart 4, which is known for being a rocket ship, but some of his lines weren't perfect, so I was trying to keep up for as long as I could. So now racing behind him, I could tell that he was pushing a little bit too hard. He sent it with too much speed into this corner, allowing me to catch up and actually take the inside line coming into the last corner before the straight. I knew there were only a few laps left, so I was doing everything that I could to keep him behind me.
Are you sure about that?
Now you can tell I'm very happy with my GP2 spec engine, but all I can do at this point is focus and hope he makes a mistake that lets me pass him. Now, with his fast kart, my options are limited, but I need to drive clean, drive quick, and keep the pressure on. I can try to do this by bumping him in the back very lightly just to make my presence known. This will take his focus away from his braking points, his turning points, and instead put it on defense. Instead of focusing forward, he's going to be paying attention to me behind him, which may give me the edge I need. As we go on to the last lap and I notice someone right beside me again, I don't want them to dive me, so I take a bit of a later approach into this corner. So now my focus is on defense. My focus is on staying ahead and finding a way to keep my car ahead of his before we cross that finish line. I had a brilliant start, but I don't want to lose another spot here. As we reach the last few corners here, I feel like I am just far enough ahead of him, but I'm gonna do my best to take this corner, carry as much speed as I can, duck down for some human DRS, and get to the line, hopefully before he does. And there we are, up into 7th place, putting us into contention for a podium finish if we could have a good race. Now, before the final race started, the crew topped up the kart's fuel and oil, so when I felt my tires, they were quite cold, which means the racing would be...
Now that's a lot of damage!
So that was my main goal right now, get those tires warmed up. I knew I had a good shot of fighting for a podium position in this race, so I was doing everything I could to give me the edge, especially on the first lap where I could make up the most positions. So I spent almost the entirety of the formation lap getting my kart up to temperature and trying to figure out how does it brake, how does it steer, what are its weaknesses. But just a few corners later, the race was about to start. Now thankfully, I was on the inside for turn 1, but not thankfully, Jackson was right beside me. I was getting pushed by the karts behind me the whole way, so I told him to slow down, but before I knew it, it was green flag and we were on. I didn't know what my kart was capable of, so I braked early, but was hit hard from behind, which pushed me a little bit wide. My current objective? Survival. Now there's fighting ahead and behind, so I'm trying to distance myself from the chaos, but everyone is still packed together quite tightly as I get a good exit and am finally able to somewhat stick to the racing line and stop fighting with other drivers. As we approach the last corner, and now I am finally able to see what kind of kart did I get? Do I have the power to fight down the main straight? I tuck in behind kart number 9 and use the draft to give me every bit of speed I can get. as kart 31 comes across, slams on his brakes, and almost sends himself out, but granting me 3 positions in the process, as I'm side by side with kart 28 down the chicane, and I realize my kart does not want to turn right. Thankfully, he gives me enough room as we go side by side into the second chicane, allowing the group to catch back up to us. But thankfully, I still have the inside to this last corner, and so I'm able to take the corner and hold my position in front of kart 28, and am now able to focus on catching up to the kart in front. Now, usually you can use the straight to relax a little bit, but here, with all those karts behind me, I was looking back every split second to see if anyone was going to try to dive me. Now, I was coming up to the right-hander where I felt my kart do really poorly last time, as I turned in and missed the apex by an entire kart, realizing that this kart really doesn't like right-hand turns. I was gonna have to figure out a way around that, as I missed the apex again. Now, this worried me more than I'd like to admit, because the corners I was used to making up time in, I wasn't able to. But that's the thing with rental kart racing. You never know what you're gonna get, and a good driver has to work on adapting to their kart as quickly as possible to maximize the best results they can from it. Now, turn 1 I know is a good corner for me, as I gained some time on kart 16 and focused again on this upcoming turn that I can't quite figure out. I get a little closer to the curb than last lap, but not fast enough to my liking. At this point, I'm thinking about positioning my kart to give me the best exit possible. If I want to keep this momentum going, I'm gonna have to overtake him quickly, or the group of karts behind me is going to catch up. So I tuck into his slipstream and see that I am gaining on him. So my plan is to surprise him and duck out at the last second. And now that I'm alongside, I know the corner is mine for the taking. Just according to plan. And now I'm comfortably in first place.
How did you catch up so fast?
Jackson had caught up, and the battle to keep him behind me had just begun. The battle for first place had just resumed, as third place sent one down the inside, putting me in a dangerous spot. I've had my race ruined on this corner before, so I gave him all the room I could as we went too wide down the main straight, and my kart began to show its power compared to his. Now I could focus on the fight for first again. Now, Jackson, ahead of me, he's fast. And he has a fast kart. Kart number 17, known for being a rocket ship around this course. So now, this was going to be an uphill battle against a great driver and a great kart. This was not going to be an easy race. I didn't want to settle for second. I knew I had the ability and possibly the kart to fight for first place. I was going to have to dig deep, not make any mistakes, and find a way to catch up and get past Jackson. So I focus, getting over to the right-hand side, waiting for the curb to appear, braking just as I see it, turning in, getting back on the throttle and getting as close as I can to that curb, carrying as much speed as I can, moving back over, and finding a way to get my kart to comply, making it turn right, eating that curb on the left, and moving back over again for the second chicane. I can feel myself getting closer to him, so I have to set up a good exit to have any chance to keep up with him on the straight. Now, this is where I began to feel my kart wanting to slide a little bit on that last corner, costing me some speed. And even with the draft to kart 17, I wasn't catching him. But in turn 1, he went in with a bit too much speed, letting me catch up ever so slightly to him. My focus is now entirely to what's happening in front, as I see his kart begin to slide out on this corner. As I catch up again, I'm not close enough to pull the move he did on me, but he makes a big mistake as we make some contact, but he ends up better off. As we approach the last turn, we both seem to exit around the same, and I hit him with the intimidation hands. It's a strategy that has not been banned yet, but fortunately, it does not seem to have any effect as he gains on me while I'm drafting him. My focus again shifts to the corners, as this is where I know I can make up time and hopefully close that gap to him. But it seems he is pulling away. His kart doesn't make the same slide he had last time on that corner. I'm not too worried yet, as I know there are still so many laps left in this race. I need to get my head down, get focused, and work on gaining time every lap. At this point, I'm beginning to understand how to get the most from my kart. I'm letting off before I get into the right turn, allowing my front tires to have just a little bit more grip as the momentum shifts. I'm braking early for the second chicane, allowing my kart to roll before I get back onto the throttle. And for the last corner, I'm beginning to lift, as I notice my kart exits with more speed if I enter less aggressively. But even so, his kart has so much power, and I feel like I am beginning to lose ground to him. It's at this point where I feel like I was furthest away from him, an entire two and a half bananas away. Out of nowhere, we approach a lapped kart. Just what I needed, as Jackson has to get out of the way, sacrificing some of his speed, allowing me to get in within his draft. But still, his kart keeps pulling and pulling away. And finally, here it was, a great exit, a straight full of draft, and an open door into turn one. I had to send it. We were coming up to the last lap, so I knew this was going to be my last chance. Turn 1. I had to set up for it. I had to follow as close as I could. I had to jump out at the last moment and hope he gave me enough room. An epic conclusion to a great battle started so many laps ago. Now, while I was happy for Jackson, I was disappointed I couldn't make my move stick. Yet, a brilliant race overall.
That was awesome.
Well done, dude.
That's a lot of money, dude. Oh,
That was solid, dude. That was solid.
Yeah, and I forfeited my card.
I thought that's how the race ended, but there was more to come.
That's how you race.
That was solid, dude.
That was a solid race. You don't understand how much pressure I had on my. Oh my god! Like that was the most pressure I think I had on my not racing career, maybe racing career. I don't know.
It's a joke. It's so fucking with you.
You got a penalty.
You got a penalty?
I have a penalty?
I have no idea.
Is it you at top?
Yeah.
How did you get penalized?
Do you have any idea what you got?
My penalty.
Yeah, no, we gotta find out.
Wait, you got penalized?
If it was anything, it was only. What does it say? I did. What do you get a penalty for?
2-position penalty for avoidable contact on cart 25.
MVP.
What? I didn't touch anyone.
You got video footage?
No.
Or does cart 25 have video footage?
Who's card 25?
Well, we couldn't find cart 25, and my footage didn't show enough apparently. So this is how the race ended. I got first, and Jackson was moved to third.